The most exclusive list in the world just went public, and it wasn't an invitation to a secret gala. It was a threat. In early 2023, hackers got their hands on a digital treasure map, and the treasure wasn't gold or jewels. It was the personal information of Ferrari owners. We're talking names, home addresses, and phone numbers of some of the wealthiest, most powerful people on the planet. The kind of data that, in the wrong hands, is more dangerous than any stolen credit card. But what Ferrari did next is what makes this story unforgettable. They were given a ransom demand, and they said no. On March 20th, 2023, Ferrari released a statement that sent a shockwave through the worlds of luxury and cybersecurity. They admitted it. There had been a breach. Hackers had accessed a limited number of systems and made off with customer contact details. For a brand built on discretion, exclusivity, and an image of impenetrable perfection, this was a nightmare scenario. The prancing horse, the symbol of untamed power and flawless engineering, had a ghost in its machine. Immediately, the questions started flying. How did this happen? Who was affected? And what were the hackers planning to do with this platinum card of personal data? Ferrari was quick to reassure everyone. They stated that no financial information, no bank details, and no specifics about the cars people owned were taken. They also confirmed that the breach had zero impact on their operations. The factories in Maranello didn't skip a beat. But this reassurance hid a much more complicated and fascinating story. To understand what really happened, we have to rewind the clock. 5 months earlier, in October 2022, a notorious ransomware group called Ransom made a bold claim. They posted on their dark website that they had stolen nearly 7 gigabytes of data from Ferrari. They claimed to have internal documents, data sheets, and even repair manuals. This was a huge deal. Imagine having the technical blueprints for some of the most complex and expensive cars ever made. Ferrari was asked about it, and their response was swift and absolute. Nope, didn't happen. They stated there was no evidence of a breach in their systems. The world largely took them at their word. After all, it's Ferrari. And Ransom, like many of these groups, has been known to bluff. The story faded away. But here's where it gets interesting. While everything seemed calm on the surface, something was quietly unfolding behind Ferrari's firewalls. The March 2023 announcement wasn't about a new hack. It was the public admission of the one they had previously denied, or at the very least, hadn't fully detected. So what changed? Ferrari revealed they only discovered the full extent of the breach when the hackers made their move. They didn't find encrypted files or locked systems. They received a ransom demand. The criminals reached out and said, "We have your customer data. Pay us or we'll release it." This changes the entire dynamic. This wasn't a classic ransomware attack designed to cripple a company's operations. This was surgical. It was extortion. The goal wasn't to stop Ferrari from building cars. It was to leverage the value of its elite clientele. And this is the part that should worry everyone. Let's talk about what was stolen. Names, addresses, emails, phone numbers. You might be thinking, so what? My data is probably out there from a dozen other breaches. But this is different. This isn't a random list of a million email addresses from a failing social media app. This is a curated list of high net worth individuals. For cybercriminals, this data isn't just information, it's a key that unlocks a whole new level of sophisticated crime. With this list, criminals could launch hyper-targeted phishing attacks. An email that looks like it's from a legitimate wealth manager, mentioning a recent trip you took that you posted about on a private social media account. Or a text message pretending to be from a luxury concierge service you actually use. They could use the data for real-world crimes, like scouting properties for burglaries, knowing the owner is a wealthy individual who might have valuables. Even worse, they could use it for direct, personal extortion, threatening to release embarrassing information, real or fabricated, unless a payment is made. This wasn't just a data breach. It was the creation of a bespoke targeting package for the world's richest people. Facing this digital hostage situation, Ferrari had a choice to make. It's a choice hundreds of companies face every year. Do you pay the ransom? Many do. They pay millions, sometimes tens of millions, hoping to make the problem go away, to protect their customers, and to avoid the public relations disaster. The FBI and other law enforcement agencies strongly advise against paying. It funds criminal enterprises, and more importantly, there's no guarantee the hackers will delete the data. You're just paying a criminal for their pinky promise. Ferrari CEO Benedetto Vigna made a decision that was as bold as the company's cars. In a statement, the company declared Ferrari will not be held to ransom. They refused to pay a single euro. They argued that paying the criminals would only fund their activities and empower them to launch more attacks against other companies. Instead of paying for silence, Ferrari chose transparency. Vigna himself began personally contacting the affected customers to inform them of the situation. They immediately launched a full-scale investigation with a leading global cybersecurity firm and notified the relevant authorities. This wasn't about the value of the data. It was about pure, unadulterated extortion. It was a statement from the cybercrime underworld that no target is off limits and no demand is too high. They are not just trying to make a profit anymore. They are trying to see how much pain they can inflict. No massive public data dump ever materialized in the way the hackers likely threatened. While the data was almost certainly sold privately on dark web marketplaces, Ferrari avoided the catastrophic public spectacle. But the story doesn't end there. There's a twist that's almost hard to believe. You would think a data breach of this magnitude would hurt the company, right? Tarnish the brand? Spook investors? Not at all. In fact, 2023 was a record-breaking year for Ferrari. Their financials soared. They shipped more cars than ever, and their profits were through the roof. The breach that exposed their most valuable customers had absolutely zero negative impact on their business operations or their bottom line. There are a few reasons. First, their response was a masterclass in crisis management. By refusing to pay the ransom and being transparent, they controlled the narrative. They came out looking strong, not like a victim. They reinforced their systems and showed they were taking the threat seriously. Second, the Ferrari brand is just that powerful. The desire to own a Ferrari is so immense that the risk of a data breach simply doesn't factor into the equation for most buyers. The allure of the prancing horse proved to be stronger than the fear of a cyber threat. But this success story is also a terrifying warning. The fact that Ferrari thrived financially doesn't mean the threat has gone away. It actually proves the hackers' new strategy is working. The criminals who attacked Ferrari likely still made money by selling the data to other specialized criminals. They didn't need to shut down Ferrari's factory to turn a profit. They just needed its client list. This signals a major evolution in cybercrime. It's moving from disruptive attacks to data-driven, precision-targeted operations. And this trend is only accelerating. The Ferrari hack wasn't an isolated incident. It was a harbinger of what was to come for the entire luxury and automotive sector. Fast forward to today, and we see this playbook being used over and over again, but with even more terrifying sophistication. In 2025, the luxury giant Kering, which owns brands like Gucci and Saint Laurent, disclosed a breach. Hackers didn't just smash through a firewall. They used social engineering, specifically vishing or voice phishing. They called employees, impersonated IT support, and tricked them into approving malicious access through legitimate platforms like Salesforce. They exploited a system called OAuth, which is what lets you log in with Google on different sites. Once inside, they stole data and threatened to sell it when Kering, like Ferrari, refused to pay the ransom. Then there is the group known as Scattered Spider. They hit Victoria's Secret in May 2025, again using social engineering to bypass security and causing an estimated $20 million in losses. This group is notorious for its focus on retail and customer data, proving that any company with a valuable customer base is a prime target. The automotive industry remains in the crosshairs. It's a perfect storm of valuable data. You have the intellectual property for the cars themselves, which is worth billions. You have the sensitive operational data of the manufacturing plants. And you have the personal data of the customers, who are often wealthy individuals. Hackers are no longer just lone wolves in hoodies. They are sophisticated, organized criminal enterprises running ransomware as a service models, where they provide the tools and infrastructure for other criminals or affiliates to launch attacks. So what does the Ferrari hack teach us? It teaches us that in the 21st century, the most valuable asset a company has might not be its factories or its products, but its data. And the security protecting that data is only as strong as its weakest link, which is often a person, not a computer. It also shows us the power of a principled response. Ferrari's defiance in the face of extortion became a defining moment, proving that a company can survive a breach with its reputation intact and even enhanced if it handles the crisis with integrity. But the final lesson is the most sobering one. The war against cybercrime is constantly evolving. The hackers are getting smarter, more organized, and more ambitious. They are now targeting the human element with surgical precision. They are turning our trust in familiar systems like a phone call from IT or a login with Google button against us. The Ferrari breach was a shot across the bow. It proved that no one is untouchable. not the most exclusive car company in the world, and not its ultra-wealthy clients. It reminds us that in this digital age, our data is always in play, and the price of security is eternal vigilance. The story of the Ferrari hack isn't just about one company. It's about the new world we all live in. A world where your digital identity can be stolen and weaponized in an instant. What do you think is the biggest lesson from Ferrari's experience? Let me know down in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the biggest stories in tech and cybersecurity that you won't see anywhere else, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Thanks for watching.